Good morning, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, Mr. Marc Donfred, Director and Founder of the Institute of Cultural Diplomacy. Before beginning, I apologize for a lot of mistakes that I am going to make in English because it's my third language after Arabic and French. I am very honored to be among you to take part of this important international congress organized for the celebration of the 20th anniversary of the fall of Berlin Wall. I would like first of all to congratulate the Institute of Cultural Diplomacy, and Mr. Marc Donfred, founder and director of this institution, for the organization of this event under the theme A World Without Walls. I would like to thank them for having invited me and greet them for the judicious choice of the topic, focusing on the analysis of the evaluation of not only the international relation, but as well on the challenge and opportunities for a sustainable intercultural cooperation. Nowadays, it is obvious that the difficulties we are facing go beyond frontiers. That is why there is need to merge efforts to meet the challenges for men and women could live in peace and serenity. The fall of the Berlin Wall ended up an era when the German people knew partition and amputation, and families underwent sufferance and separation from their family members and friends, suffering which only equaled their happiness for reunification and encounter. Celebrating the fall of the Wall of Berlin is somehow outlining lessons from that era and the negative effects which had on human beings who are the real capital of any kind of development. Yet, if the Wall of Berlin fell apart, there still exist other kinds of walls, visible and invisible, set up in front of humanity. Their walls are poverty, conflicts, xenophobia, inequality between North and South, disparity between men and women, etc. We have to contribute in shaking those walls to bring the common human destiny to the level of our great humanistic and civilization values and build up our world a unit of dialogue and exchange, peace and development, and we have to say it of liberty and equality. Nevertheless, we see that there exist walls which make of women and altogether with children vulnerable to poverty, illiteracy and violence. They have less access to resource, land, and to the power as well, be in economical or political area. This is true on the local level, even though they are the responsible of the running of the daily life for themselves and for their children, and thus for the whole family. This is a worldwide phenomenon, since the share of women in parliament in the whole world is only 19%, less than 19% for all the world. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Morocco is among this country which geography privileged, having an exceptional location at the crossroad between Africa and Europe, bordered by the Atlantic and the Mediterranean Sea, a fortunate destiny favoring diversity and openness on the cultural, linguistic, and also ethnic and religious level. In our country, we have black people, we have blue-eyes people, and I think that most of you, when you have seen me, you can't believe easily that I am from Morocco, but in Morocco we have all the kind of ethnic people. And also at the religious level, in Morocco, subsisted many civilizations, African, Phoenician, Roman, Arabo-Andalusian, and more recently French and Spanish ones, called extreme Occident, the name Al-Maghrib Al-Aqsa means extreme Occident, yet considered to be part of the Orient. Morocco is an Arab country, and as well as a Berber, a Muslim country, but where live in harmony a Jewish minority, very rooted in Morocco since many millennia. This multifaceted identity, which characterizes our population of today, is not confined with our borders. There are 3 million of Moroccan men and women who are Muslim and Jews who live abroad the world, and they feel very linked to Morocco. And just yesterday, I have one lady that I think she is here. She told me that she was born in Holland, and his father and mother are Moroccan. And I asked her, do you feel Moroccan? And she told me 100 to 100. So there is a lot of Moroccan people abroad that feel very linked with Morocco. That multiple identity stands as a purpose for our proud and the richness that we are deeply concerned about to preserve. And I think that you can help us to keep this multiple identity. When you look at us, you have to leave the stereotype, and to think that American people must be only Arabic and only Muslim, but he is a lot of other things, not only Moroccan and Arabic. During the last 2 decades, and particularly during the last decade, our country, the Kingdom of Morocco, engaged in a new era, setting up a number of reforms which were innovating, enterprising, and constructive. This was made possible through 2 factors: a strong struggle of the democratic force and civil society, and the engagement of His Majesty King Mohammed VI for the cause of his people and for the values of human rights and equality. And it is due to these 2 reasons that I am here as a Moroccan minister in charge of big dossiers of social development, family, and solidarity, having the duty to coordinate policies aiming at the promotion of the right of women, of children, of elderly and disabled persons, and for the excluded and marginalized, thanks to a long struggle which started for me when I was only 19 years old. Nominated along with 6 other women ministers composing the government set up in 2007, it was the first time that we had so important number of women into the government, not only for our country, but also for the Arab world and most of the African and Asian countries. This event was a piece of the chain aiming at checking an invisible wall built up of laws, of practices, of prejudice and tradition, which hindered women in our country to live as an active citizen benefiting from development. Ladies and gentlemen, that process to recover the right of women has been marked by a courageous reform of the family code, which fought back opposition with the reconciliating judicially between the universal values and the noble values of Islam. The new family code fixed the age of marriage to 18 for both girls and boys, abolished the tutorship imposed to young women, and the repudiation settled as divorce through judicial measures for men as well as for women, and stated shared responsibility of men and women on equal terms within the family. Equality, these 3 syllables, very simple and symbolic, yet couldn't triumph just after eras of fights from men and women worried about liberty and democracy. So much time crying out to explain, communicate, advocate, and sensibility before succeeding to break the wall of silence. the flag of equality flew by the speech of His Majesty the King into the Parliament on the 10th of October 2003. It was an historical day when were announced the main reforms of the Family Code, and I was there into the Parliament, and when I listened to the King speaking about what was new in the new Family Code, I was wondering if I was dreaming or if it was really all this thing that was achieved for women and for equality into our country. And since then, the 10th of October was pointed as National Day for the women, for the Moroccan women. Just a few days ago, we celebrated this event under the theme Equality at the heart of the political Moroccan agenda. Today, equality is a name, and every day we will tap a part of such a new family nationality code that gives to the woman the right to give her nationality to her children born from a foreigner husband or father, foreigner father. There is also a national strategy for equality and equity by the introduction of the gender approach within the programs of the government policies. There is a reform of the public finance to set up a gender-sensitive budget. There is a big multi-sectorial program that is called Temkin, which means empowerment, for the fight against violence against women, which involved police authorities, gendarmerie who is a kind of police into the countryside, and ministers of health and justice, as well as associations from civil society active in this field. Setting up of a measure which made possible the election of 35 women in the parliament of 2002. And before, there was only 2 women in the parliament. Following the last municipality election in June of 2009, there was 3,428 women who were elected, and before there was only 127 women. That means that the feminine representation jumped from 0.5 to 12.38. And it is not important only because there is a very big changement in the numbers of women elected. It is important because in all the country, in 1,500 communes, there will be the sound of women that are going to claim for their rights, are going to make policies that answer to their need as women, half of the society, but also for their families, their children, and disabled people, and aged people, and a lot of people that needs the voices of the women. This is not all. There is a reform of the communal charter who has created within the 1,500 districts a consultative commission in charge of equality and equal opportunities, which compelled the district to adopt a gender approach plan. Finally, a very important royal issue, the National Initiative for Human Development has launched to fight social disparities, disparities between some districts and other districts, and disparities also between men and women. All this reform has been accomplished in our country with the context of reform and social dynamism, aiming at a consolidated state of law and democracy in respect of human rights and liberties. And there was a lot of very important reforms in the area of human rights. And you know that there was a commission that about a reconciliation to make the page of the past be turned over after having been read by the people, and there was some public hearings into the TV to speak about all what happens before in the area of human rights, all the violation of human rights that have been done before. And there was also a compensation, financial compensation of people that have been victims of violation of their human rights. This reforms aims also to fight against disparity, urban and rural, against poverty, against violence and discrimination based on gender, and also to build a country developed and modern with the social cohesion and equality of opportunities. About modernity, I can tell you as example, as the King, His Majesty Mohammed VI, for the first time shows his wife, because before we never have seen in Morocco the wife of the king. And now the king is married with a young lady who is called Son Altesse Royale Lalla Selma. And she is a modern woman, young woman, very high level of instruction, because she is an informatist. And she plays a role, and she's, everybody can see her in the TV or in a lot of activities, and that shows a very modern image to all the people, and that contribute to make our country be a modern and open-minded country. Those are some of the major reforms gauging all around men and women, and who set forward the Morocco of today. Our values fit within those set up by this International Congress for the following purpose: develop solidarity, co-development through concrete initiatives, using all the opportunities of growth and development, develop peace, dialogue, and mutual respect, as we know that the peace is founded on the principle of justice, international law, putting aside the power affinities and violence, which engenders only more violence and unsafety. Develop partnership which use all the existing human potential, which is men, but also women and youth. And youth play a very, very important role, and also disabled people. Our societies have talents and competence which requires only mobilization. The challenges are many, and among them, the lack of regional integration for the country in our region, the Maghreb, region which suffers, unfortunately, a lack in this method of the development of our countries. This lack is two-digit figures of the GDP for the countries of this region, which we call the price of non-Maghreb. Wishing that this event contributes to the fall of the virtual wall raised between Morocco and Algeria, despite the many appeals of our country toward our neighboring brother country to end the closure of border of the two countries, and through that end the suffering of many families broken apart. The matter is about the problem of the territorial unity of our country. That is very important for all the Moroccan people, as it was very important for the people of your country, for the following of, for the fall of the wall of Berlin. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this conference is thus an opportunity for us all to analyze and compare. It is also an opportunity to identify and cross the difficulty, and especially to think about the common action to bridge up our countries. It's sometimes working to develop peace, spots, democracies, cooperation, cultural and sustainable development, which will sketch during time the common destiny for the different parts of our world. It means also developing the ingredient of all-inclusive world of solidarity for the most poor, the most vulnerable, a world of progress, development and richness, to contribute in this way to ban once of all intolerance and violence, prevention and inequality, and in this way build up a world without walls. I would like to reiterate the strong political will of the Kingdom of Morocco to increase efforts in order to contribute to the construction of a world without walls and sustainable cooperation. Hoping great success for your Congress. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup. C'était vraiment une présentation très importante. Félicitations pour tout ce que vous avez déjà fait. Et aussi bon courage et aussi notre soutien pour toutes les épreuves qui sont encore là. Donc merci beaucoup. We have plenty of time now for questions. You can feel free to ask your questions in French or in English. My colleague will also translate. And yeah, I see already a number of hands. My colleague has the wireless microphone there, so maybe we can begin in the back and work our way towards the front.
Thanks, Madam. My name is Grace Koza from South Africa. My question is really about what you started by saying, the acknowledgement of women representation in elected African states. And I want to concur that there's a bit of improvement on that theme. And although you and I probably would agree that Rwanda, after a very intense genocide, probably has the highest number of women representation in parliament, which is probably a good example of what can come out of a conflict in a situation like Rwanda. The question, though, for me is that at times, that could be a double-edged sword, in a sense that when you have more elected women representation in structures of governance, they sort of miss out on the opportunity of still getting to understand the core issues that ordinary women go through. It's something that we're going through in South Africa. I think it's something the Zimbabweans are going through. You see it in Burundi. You see it in most African countries, really, that the more we have elected women representatives in government structures, that there's a feeling that the connection between them and ordinary women, you know, women who really go through the serious challenges that got most of you guys elected, don't really get to have a certain voice that is participating within the government structures. You end up with what Professor Baba yesterday talked about, being civic participants, but not really being part and parcel of formal engagement on issues that are of importance to them. How do we make sure that we don't lose that linkage? Because it's important. We don't just want to have women representatives in government structures, but we still want them to still understand the plight, the ordinary plight of ordinary women on a day-to-day basis. Thanks.
Est-ce que vous pensez, une fois que les femmes arrivent au Parlement, ou dans les gouvernements, surtout en Afrique, la connexion entre elles et les femmes qui vivent leur vie de tous les jours n'est plus là? Et comment fait-on pour garder cette connexion et que même les femmes élues ne soient pas déconnectées de la vie normale?
Of course, thank you for your question. It is very important, and I think that the representation of women must be something usual, something that everybody must consider, not as an exception or only a quota, 10% of women to have women and it's all, but it must be something that be automatic. And I think that the better for one country is to have the half-half, so as a representation of men and women becomes something usual, and then I am sure that all the women that are going to be elected are going to be from the root of the society, and can have a very important influence on the politics of the countries. And you have done the example of Rwanda, who was the only country in the world who have exactly 50% of, or little more than 50% of the women that are elected into the parliament. But it was because in Rwanda there was no more thing to be managed. after the war and after everything has been destructed, they give the power to the women and to say now give the women, and perhaps they are going to do better than the men. And so I think that there is a lot of very important personalities in the world, and I think about Zapatero, the first minister of Spain, who said in one of his speech, he said to the men, he said, look what you have done of this world. There is so many poverty, so many illiteracy, so many problems, and now time is here to share the power between men and women, and we know that women can give a kind of social sensitive. They are very sensitive to social affairs, and they are educated to work for the other before working for herself. Because a woman, when she wakes up in the society, when she wakes up in the morning, she thinks about her children, about the other members of the family, before thinking about herself. And I think that it is very important to use such qualities in the managing of public affairs. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Masouda. I'm from the American University in Cairo, Egypt. And actually, I would like to ask, I've founded with a friend of mine, we have worked on an organization within the American University in Cairo, trying to address issues for the empowerment of women, such as breaking the silence on sexual harassment or domestic violence. And we performed plays and had several lectures. And what I discovered increasingly was that within the walls of this American university, what we did was fine. But as soon as we wanted to address the outer public or collect stories from the average Egyptian woman, it failed miserably, because the idea of speaking out for the average Egyptian woman is not based on the same foreign approach to dealing with these issues. And what I found was that an increasingly foreign approach to addressing women's issues in Egypt, for example, did not help tackle the issues and did not encourage women to speak out. And another issue was that when I did some research with the UNDP on villages in Egypt, where they wanted to empower women by providing them with more capital, instead of empowering women, domestic violence increased as a result, because men felt that they weren't being given an equal opportunity. And in relation to your statement about modern women, such as the wife of the King of Morocco, I feel like it is increasingly becoming important for Arab women to live up to the image of modern European women, instead of coming up with their own definition of what it means to be a modern Arab woman. I do not believe that we are all on the same linear path of modernity. A modern Arab woman can have her own set of values and does not need to necessarily fit into another scheme. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have a precise question, or do you just want answers to your remarks?
Well, no, actually my question is really in terms of trying to encourage the empowerment of women or dealing with women's issues, how would you approach it?
How efficient is the foreign approach to the problem?
Instead of the foreign approach, yes.
Et elle s'est rendue compte que ça allait dans les murs de l'université, mais qu'en sortant, il n'y avait pas de communication possible avec les femmes du Caire, parce que notre approche européenne à ces problèmes et notre point de vue n'allait pas avec la manière dont eux percevaient le problème. Et donc, elle demandait qu'est-ce que vous pensez est la meilleure approche pour nous de gérer ces genres de questions.
Thank you for your intervention and your question. I think that the problem of harassment and violence against women, or violence based on gender, is due to the discrimination between men and women. And I think that it's not, if we think about the separation of the roles of men and women, we can find that there is not only women that are victims of violence, but also men when they are obliged to be the people into the family that comes with a lot of money. In our societies, the women have to be nice, their face, and the man has to be rich. And when a man can't have money, when he can't work, when he can't have a job, he feels, and the society make him feel as if he's not a man, because a man has in the ideology, the man has to be strong, has to be rich, and something like that. So I think that if we promote ideas of equality of men and women, and if we help the women to feel that she can bring her own capacities, not only as a woman, but not only with his face, but also with his intelligence, with his work, with his capacities. It is the same thing for men. We should make men be more confident in their own capacity as men, and not only because he has money or something like that. So we have to build again the relationship between men and women, so that there is respect between men and women. But to arrive to this solution, I think that now we have to empower women in economical and social areas, so that she doesn't stay dependent of a man that can be violent, and she can't liberate herself from the relationship with him, because she doesn't have the possibility to assure her own life. And I think that for the difference between the Arabic and the Muslim country and the others mustn't hide the common values of equality and dignity and the respect of each other, that is a common capital of all the humanity, and we can't use our specificities as Arabic or Muslim country to say that okay, for us it's not true because we have other values. I think that it's not a reason to have exception in our countries. Thank you very much.
Did that answer your question?
Hi. My name is Linda Rutam. I'm from Estonia, but I'm studying in Belfast at the moment. And Estonia was one of the first countries in the world where women could vote. It was around 1918, but it cannot compete with Rwanda. We don't have 50% of women in our parliament. I have a comment more than a question. I've attended many, I don't call myself a feminist, but I've attended some seminars, workshops for promoting the rights of women, and what I always see is that it's women speaking, and I would really like to see also men standing up and speaking for the rights of women, because I don't think it's only women that would have to worry about that. It's just a comment.
I think we can agree with you.
My name is Niels Metzger from German Arab Association. First of all, I'd like to welcome you on behalf of German Arab Association here in Germany. And I'd like to ask two questions not focusing the gender point. How does your current government handle the situation of human rights violations under the former King Hassan? And the second question is that in Morocco there are big social differences between the north and the south. Some say because of social differences or different ethnicities, and I'd like to ask you how your government is trying to change that situation and develop the South in a better way than it is right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your questions. The first question was about the violation of the past of human rights. In our country, there was a very important work that have been done and a very important reform that makes that first we have done the reading of what happened in the past. And I can tell you that a lot of young people have been victims of a violation of their human rights in one other era where a lot of young people have been in prison. And I can tell you that also my own brother, have been 5 years in prison as he was a student. But now you can see really that in Morocco, all the people that have been active in the area of human rights in the past now are part of the managing of the country, because we have created one instance, equity and reconciliation, that the head of this instance was one people that have spent 15 years in prison, Mr. Driss Ben Zikri, who is very known as a human rights activist. And there was a lot of action that have been done and a lot of other recommendations that have been done. The action was first the public hearings. No, first it was the enquête. Une enquête. Comment on dit l'enquête? It's
SRV?
inquiries about it was we called for all the people that have been victims of the violation of their own rights, human rights, has come, and they write the names and they do to know how many people have been victims, and all the people that have been victims of the violation of their human rights have been compensated with the financial compensation. And also there was public hearings at the TV, national TV, and people comes in a lot of regions and they said, I have been victim, I have been in prison, or my sister or my daughter or my son was in prison, and they speak about all what happens, and so everybody could hear it. And then there was a lot of measures that have been taken, and to make that no more in Morocco can happen what have happened in one time. And now we have Conseil consultatif des droits de l'homme, Consultative Council of Human Rights, that is formed by representatives of a lot of human rights associations and political parties, and who do a lot of action to rehabilitate not only the people but also the region that have been victims of collectively of the violation of their human rights. And also for the differences between the regions. I spoke about national initiative of human development that have been launched by His Majesty the King in 2005. And the aim is to fight against all the disparities with giving a very strong an encouragement to the regions that are poorer than the other region. And it is not only to give some money, but to make people be empowered. And it's locally that people, representative of elected people and authorities and the civil society, that makes the definition of the project that must be prioritarian, and to give the contribution of the state to make this region be more developed. So now you can really say that in Morocco we are in a situation of very advanced human rights situation. That don't mean that there is no problem, but when there is problem, there is a lot of instances, like there is ombudsman, there is Conseil consultatif des droits de l'homme of human rights. There is a lot of instances that are watching and supporting officially human rights. So we can see that really our country is in a very good way to achieve state of law and democracy and human rights.
Okay, is it possible to group the last questions, please?
Or what I would suggest also in terms of equal rights, let's give a chance to some people also in the front. But I would say maybe that's 2 more questions because we're running a little bit late, and then maybe you could respond to both at once. So just 2, please.
Hello, I'm from Holland, and I'm Moroccan myself, and I worked in Morocco. And what I find interesting, first of all, I would like to say that I'm really very happy with the Mudwana also, like you are, and I was really happy with that. But when I worked at the women's associations in Rabat and in Nador in the north of Africa, I saw a lot of women who were confronted by corruption, because there are still a lot of people that bribe judges, and with this, it makes the law not even present, and it makes it not visible for those people that want to implement them. And you see a division between those people who can bribe the judges and people who can't, who don't have the money. So it still stays an issue of inequality. And and I was very curious how you think that you can fight that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes. What you speak about corruption and about problem of justice and judge, both are the most important challenge that we face in our country. And what is very important in our country, it is that when there is a problem, it is not a hidden problem. It's not forbidden to speak about corruption or to speak about the judge or to speak about reform of the justice. But even at the highest level of the state, we speak about how we can fight corruption. And I can tell you that there is a very active civil society, and there was, as example, Association Transparency who works against corruption in Morocco, and one of the more active people of the Association Transparency is now at the head of one instance that have been created in Morocco to fight against corruption, and also the reform of the justice to make the justice more transparent. The 2 last speeches of the king were about how we can change the justice, what reform we must do, and now it is one of the first files who is on the board of the government. And I can say that it will be easy to fight against corruption, because unfortunately corruption is rooted also in dans les comportements, in the culture and of the country. But it's not the high. The high corruption has come back a lot, but the little corruption with the root people is now very is here, and we are convinced to make all what we can to fight against corruption, because if there is corruption, we can't achieve development, we can achieve all the important aims of our country. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for the last question. My name is Silvia Susi from ETH Zurich, Switzerland. My husband is from Morocco, so I have also a view about life there. I very much like the first 2 questions, and I'm sure that one was important, and that there should be equality between women and men. But as far as I can see, on the countryside, there are many women, especially traditional women, who themselves are against it, And I think my question is, to shorten up, is there any dialogue between government or modern women like you and with traditional women? Because I think if traditional women who live their life within Islam, they don't want, maybe they like to have equality with the men, but they don't want necessarily have the same rights. Like, they like to stay at home and they like to take care of the children, some of them. Is there a dialogue to convince also traditionality, or to overcome this traditional picture of family or women, especially on the countryside?
Thank you about your question. I think that in Morocco there is, as example, the Islam is very rooted in the society, and a lot of men and women are very. Most of people are very linked with the principle of the religion, but there is some conservative men and some conservative women, and we can see because they are women, they are going to be open-minded and modern and a lot of things like that. And I think that dialogue is not between traditional and modern women. Dialogue is about all the problems when we speak about Mudawana, the family code, when we speak about a lot of other things. There is a lot of ideas, and it is not because a woman is with the veil, as example, that she is very conservative. Or there is some women who are wearing the veil, and they can have ideas progressive, and so there is a lot of problems about that. There is discussion and dialogue, and there is not separation between modernist and traditional. As we work with all the women, and when women are victims of violence, they can come. We have a hotline in the ministry, and there is cooperation between all the ministers, as I said, health, justice, police, and now, as example, in Morocco, we have 345 cells of listening women victims of violence, of civil society and of the state. And a lot of women come to speak about their problem, and we don't feel really that there is a separation between traditional and modern women. All the women can have a part of traditional and attachment to their values, religious values and other things, and in the same time open-minded and open on the values of equality and modernity. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.